This is getting fun. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by BetUS. I am going to start this one by giving a shout out to my buddy Dom Cappuccini. If you watch these shows, you know the name well because he super chats on here basically every night. And on the last show, after a monumentally overwhelming victory against the Memphis Grizzlies, in what I would certainly call, and many people were calling, the signature win of the season, he made a distinction. And he said, I think that was more of a statement win than a signature win. And I've been thinking a lot about that over the last 48 hours before this Nuggets game. And I think it really resonated with me because he's right. That was a statement to the rest of the NBA that the Knicks, if they play their brand of basketball, it's going to be tough to beat them. Tonight, against the Denver Nuggets and the reigning MVP, a guy who certainly has the stats to win another MVP, although I don't know if voters are going to go in that direction. And on a night where had all the makings of a disappointing Knick loss, get out to a nice, good, comfortable start, then doesn't quite go all the way where you wanted it to go, and then third quarter, what happens? You get hit in the mouth. Like they delivered that one extra punch, and all of a sudden you're looking around like, wait a minute, we're down 8 points, and we've done so many things right in this game. What the hell is going on? And what was going on was you faced a championship team. I know they didn't win last year. They won the year before that. That still has a lot of that championship equity. And they were going back and reaching into the recesses to grab it. And as an angry team came in, having lost 2 games in a row, they wanted to get this one. And you took that punch. The Knicks took that punch. Jalen Brunson took that punch, and they said, nah, not tonight. We're not the team that we were earlier in the season, that if you punched us at the right time in the right fashion, maybe we wouldn't fold, but we would get unnerved. We would get discombobulated to the point that we would no longer be able to execute on the things that we need to execute to win on. And we would start making a lot of mistakes when it comes to our weak points. And they did none of that. They pulled together, and it was out of a particular timeout. And the first play that you knew something was up and they were not going to go down without a fight, not on this night, was it came on. It was I believe it was the defensive possession in which Jamal Murray picked up his 4th foul. Credit to OG Anunoby, outstanding, one of many outstanding defensive possessions by him. It led to a transition take foul, and Josh Hart made an energy play in there. And then, of course, and this is going to be the theme of this game, because for as much as this was a team win, and it was a team win, and almost everybody, I mean, it's tough to look at anybody tonight and say they had a bad game. I know Bridges didn't particularly shoot it well. I know Towns before the 4th quarter was up and down. Boy, did he make up for it in the 4th. You know, Shamet maybe with some forgettable minutes. That was a team win. But if you are a team with intentions on winning a title in this league, shout out to my buddy Mark Stein, hashtag this league, you need one of those guys. And Denver certainly has one of those guys, and when the lights are brightest, they really get 2 of those guys, because Jamal Murray, and you saw it a lot tonight, can certainly live up to the moment. And the Knicks guy that they had was better than anyone wearing a Nuggets uniform, and that's why I decided to put on his jersey for this postgame show. Of course, I am talking about Jalen Brunson. And look, we've said all the accolades, or we've gone over all the accolades. We've levied every bit of praise that you can levy on Jalen Brunson over the course of, I mean, since he's gotten here, but it really went to a new level, I think, at some point in the middle of last year, or maybe if you want to go within the playoffs, the previous season. So he's not a stranger to hearing many good things said about him. And yet, if you wanted to look at him and look at his resume and say, yeah, but can we be sure he can be the guy on a team that goes all the way? And you wanted to poke a hole or two in his resume, you could do that. And I'm not even talking about only the defense, but as a point guard, as a guy to run the team, as opposed to just scoring, an area in which he made immense strides out of the gate this season, averaging coming into tonight, I think about one more assist than he did last year. Took him a couple weeks to figure out the Towns partnership. Then he got going with the two-man game with Towns, and it really set the Knicks off into where they've come to at this point in the season, where their offense is just outstanding. So he's already made strides there. And yet, during some of the big moments of this season, where the Knicks have come up short, where was the criticism? I'm thinking of the Oklahoma City game, the first Oklahoma City loss, where it's like, come on, Jalen, you got to run the offense better than that. And there have been a couple other times where it's like, when the offense gets a little stodgy, and then you go look at the numbers, the Towns, no Brunson lineups are great. The Brunson, no Towns lineup, still scoring a lot, but not quite as good. So coming into tonight, facing the 3 out of 4 MVP winner in Nikola Jokic, I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool for Brunson to have, again, I'll use the term, a statement game. And boy, did he make a statement, and doing it in every way that an NBA superstar, capital S superstar, needs to be able to do it. Had himself an okay first half, nothing crazy, nothing bad. Like, got to his spots a few times, maybe missed some shots that he would normally make. And then when his team, again, got hit in the mouth in the third quarter, he did what superstars do, and he took over. 18 points, 18 of his 30 points in the third quarter. Every one of them was absolutely vital because the team came out in the third, and it's not like they were stuck in the mud, or it's not like they didn't play with any energy, but Denver threw the punch, and they were a little bit shell-shocked because of that. And the offense kind of bogged down a little bit. And so Jalen Brunson says, you know what? Give me the ball. I got this. And he did get it. And that is what catapulted the Knicks in position to win the game. And then Tom Thibodeau, we have seen him go with Jalen Brunson for the entire second half at times this season. That is one area amongst several areas of criticism that he has gotten. And I thought, you know what? With 2 days off going into the Saturday game against the Lakers, at the end of the third quarter, the way Brunson was going, I was like, man, I wonder if he's going to do it again. And I wonder if it's going to come back to bite him in the ass, because this Denver team, they don't fold. They always seem to find stores of energy. And sure enough, opening of the fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson's on the bench. And I thought what really was probably, reflecting back, the most important stretch of the game, where you had Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray on the court, and not only no Brunson, but no Karl-Anthony Towns, who got into some foul trouble and just kind of wasn't himself throughout much of the game. Neither of those guys on the floor. And thanks to Deuce McBride hitting some big shots, Cam Payne with a nice little put shot there. We won't talk about Cam's ill-advised 3, but made up for it by drawing the charge on the other end. OG hit a huge corner 3, just making the shots, making the plays that you needed to make with your superstar on the court. When Jalen Brunson re-entered that game, as should have surprised absolutely no one, the Denver Nuggets were like, yeah, not tonight, not you, somebody else. And, you know, it would have been easy enough. Like, okay, draw 2 to the ball, I'm just going to give it up. And there were a couple times where he did that. But that wasn't enough. Because when you are a player who is capable of being the best player on a championship team, you figure out a way to take what the defense is doing to you and not let them get away with it, and use it to your advantage. And what did Jalen Brunson do? Jalen Brunson went out there in the fourth quarter and got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 consecutive assists on Knicks made baskets as soon as he checked into the game with a little under 8 minutes left. 6 straight times the Knicks scored. All 6 of them were off of dimes from Jalen Brunson. And let me tell you, he earned those assists. And then he had one more assist in the fourth quarter for good measure. Ended the game, I believe, with an even 30 and 15. Did not score a single point in the fourth quarter. Didn't need to. That wasn't what his job was there. And you know what? Maybe in past iterations of this team or in past iterations of Jalen Brunson, he looks at that as a situation like, I got to bring us home. I got to be the one. It has to be my shot coming off my hands. We're going down with the ball in my hands. And that's not because he's a selfish guy. It's because he just cares about winning so badly, and he knows how good he is, and he knows how much work he puts in. So I thought this fourth quarter, in a lot of ways, represented the evolution of Jalen Brunson as much as anything else. Finishes the game not only with those 30 points and 15 assists, but two turnovers. And that was it. And the Knicks win a game that, like, I think in addition to just Brunson being Brunson, and that, end of the day, that's really all they need to be a contender with this front office and with this head coach. Like, they're going to be in it. It's the same thing with Denver. As long as you got Jokic on that team and you put a commensurate group of guys around him and you're well coached and what have you, like, you're going to have a chance in any game. You're going to have a chance in any playoff series. But like, he is elevating them. And I thought a lot of the things that we saw tonight should continue to raise their esteem in our eyes. I'm going to go through some of the things right now before we get to the super chat. So first things first, defensively, I think the Nuggets right now came into tonight as the fourth best defense in the NBA. I will double check that as I am talking. If they aren't fourth best, they've been, I think, number 1 or 2 for the better part of a month. Yeah, they're fourth. And again, they're creeping up on the third place Boston Celtics. They've hit their stride. The Jokic Murray, most dangerous pick and roll combination in the league. Murray has now started to play better. No surprise. So for the Knicks to hold them tonight to 112 points and really, and like, yeah, you want to tell me, okay, Jokic got into foul trouble in the first half and the Knicks got a big break on that. Well, look, credit, and this is the championship DNA, credit to the Nuggets. They were a little bit quicker to the ball on that stretch when Jokic was out of the game. And they were doing a great job bothering the Knicks. The Knicks, it seemed like they missed 8,000 shots in the restricted area. It actually wasn't that bad. I looked it up at halftime. In the restricted area in the first half, they were 13 to 21. But again, for the Knicks to get 21 shots in the restricted area in the first half, I think showed you how well the Knicks were playing and specifically how well the Knicks were passing. Speaking of which, another 30 assist game for this basketball team. Now exceeds this season. We've played under 50 games. The Knicks have more 30 or more assist games in this season. Again, less than 50 games than they had in the last 2 years combined. That's the evolution of this team. So I thought, now I'm getting into talk about the offense. Back on the defense. Yeah, not great on the defensive glass. And that's really the other thing that kept the Nuggets in the game in the first half. And, a little bit too handsy. Sent them to the line 16 times in the first half. That was less than ideal. But overall, I thought the defense throughout the first half was really solid. You let go of the rope for 5 or so minutes to start the third quarter. It's funny, we were watching that start of the third quarter, and it reminded me a lot of a game the Knicks played in Madison Square Garden against the Denver Nuggets 2 seasons ago. When it was, you could argue it was one of the Knicks' signature wins of that season. Mitchell Robinson had a big defensive game in that one against Jokic. But it was a game where the Knicks were up early and then they just got blitzed, like outscored by 20-something points by the Nuggets over the course of, I think it was the second and the third quarter, and then came back with a big win. This game reminded me a lot of that. Come out big, eventually fall behind by 8, and then the big comeback. But other than those 5-6 minutes to start the third quarter, I thought the Knicks' defensive effort tonight, their attention to detail tonight, their connectivity on, talk about things that I did not expect to see going into tonight. The Knicks, how many Murray and Jokic pick and rolls did they switch, especially in the first half, but they did a little bit in the second half. We keep talking about how I keep talking about how this season, in many ways, not that the goal isn't to win a championship. Of course, the goal is to win a championship. But this is a season of experimentation. This is a season of figuring out what works, what doesn't. And once you figure out the answers to those questions, regrouping in the summertime and saying, okay, what do we need to shore up the fort here? And for them to now be pulling out switches against a team where it's like, this is the team that we're going to be pulling out switches. We're going to have Mikal Bridges on and Nikola Jokic, but give them all the credit in the world because they pulled it off. And I thought, for the most part, I don't want to say they unnerved Nikola Jokic, but Nikola Jokic didn't have a great game. And it wasn't only because he got into foul trouble in the first half. He ended up playing 33 minutes. He was 6 of 15 from the field, had 17 points. And the most important stat of the game, Nikola Jokic, only 6 assists. When Nikola Jokic only has 6 assists in a game, you have done your job, let alone that he only had 17 points. But he could have 17 points and completely win a game by himself because of what he does with the ball. The Knicks throwing different looks at him and the players executing those different looks that were thrown at Jokic throughout the entire game. And credit to Precious Achiuwa, because when he came in and he had that assignment, I thought he did wonderfully with that job. Wasn't perfect because it's never going to be perfect against Jokic. Same thing with Towns. Was Towns perfect against Jokic tonight? No, Towns wasn't perfect against Jokic tonight, but he was really damn good. And again, that's a guy that could make a lot of people look silly, and Jokic didn't make anybody look silly tonight. So yeah, shout out to the defense all night. Talked about Brunson, talked about the stretch without Brunson. And why don't we do, for the autograph signature moment of the game, do a couple different ones. There was a defensive possession. Yeah, I referenced it already. The defensive possession that ended with Cameron Payne taking a charge right before Brunson came back in. Excuse me, I misspoke before. I said Brunson sat for a little over the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, sat for a little over the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. And it was the last possession before Brunson came back in the game. Their connectivity on the defensive end on that position was as good as anything we've seen all year. And the fact it ended with that Payne taking a charge, just a fantastic stand and really emblematic of so many really, really, really good defensive possessions tonight. Look, you switch more, you move around more, you're making the rotations. Offensive rebounds are going to happen, especially against a team like that, where, again, I don't think it was a coincidence that they started Aaron Gordon tonight to get a little bit more size. The Nuggets, of course, are the third best rebounding team in the NBA by percentage. They're actually, funny enough, they are tied with the Knicks. They rebound 51.6% of all missed shots. Knicks are at that same number, so they're essentially tied for third in the league. But that's a big, nasty team.